Hey everyone, welcome to Cassandra Lunch number 93. 7 weeks left until we hit the big 100. Today's topic is going to be on K8ssandra on DigitalOcean. It's going to be given by Stefan, who's an engineer here at Anant. Co-organizers for this event are Rahul and myself. If you are interested in being a guest speaker or as well as a sponsor, feel free to reach out to me. You can drop an email to me. It is listed below there. We are part of Data Community DC. Data Community DC believes in building an inclusive environment. So no matter your race, gender, sexual orientation, everyone is welcome, and we expect the respect to be given to all. Data Community DC is built of a bunch of different organizations. Our sister lunch, Data Engineers Lunch, falls under the umbrella of Data Wranglers DC. So if you're interested in various events and organizations under Data Community DC, feel free to look at their website, datacommunitydc.org, as well as the various different events put on by the various organizations. So what do we cover here at Cassandra Lunch? We cover everything that is, talks, and plays well with Cassandra. So whether that be open source Cassandra or an enterprise compliant or variant, DataStax Enterprise, Scala, Cosmos DB, Yugabyte, Amazon Key Spaces, as well as things in the ecosystem that play well with Cassandra. For example, today we'll be using K8ssandra, so looking at Kubernetes and Cassandra, as well as DigitalOcean for hosting. So there's a ton of different things we can cover. And so again, if you're interested in giving a talk on anything related to Cassandra or something in the Cassandra ecosystem, feel free to reach out to us. If you're new here, say hi, hello, drop what you do with Cassandra in the Zoom chat or YouTube chat if you're watching directly from YouTube. Group rules, if you have a question, please ask it. This is meant to be a community. So this is a group learning session, as well as everyone who's watching live or in the future on YouTube. If you have a question, please be polite and courteous to the guest speaker. They may have preferences in terms of when they prefer questions. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can drop a question in the live chat and we'll get that lifted over. Or if you're watching this at a later time, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section. And additionally, again, please do share what you know with us. This is meant to be a community. So the more you know, the more everyone will know. Here at Anant, we design, build, and manage global real-time data analytics platforms surrounding Cassandra, Spark, and Kafka. So Cassandra is our bread and butter. DataStax is a partner and a sponsor. GW University helps provide venue space when we have in-person events. We also have some institutional or organizational sponsors. If anyone has any announcements, if they're offering jobs, if they have jobs, or if they're looking for a job, or if they have any meetups, hackathons, classes that they would like to promote, feel free to drop it in the YouTube comments, YouTube chat, and Zoom chat, and we'll get them transferred back and forth. DataStax Astra has a build-a-thon that's currently ongoing. The first month, I believe, is wrapping up potentially at the end of the week, but essentially there's a round per month. So it's a 3-month build-a-thon with a challenge per month. And you can join the second round and third round, and then the top 3 winners for each round will qualify to present their project ideas on demo day, which will be held on May 28th. And for each round, as well as if you end up being one of the top 3 winners, you can win prize money for the specific month, as well as the grand finale demo day. And there's cash prizes to be won, as well as swag. Anant is hiring, so if you're looking for a full-time or part-time position for data platform operator, engineer, architect, you can find out more at careers.anant.us. Ongoing Cassandra events. This Cassandra Lunch is hosted currently every Thursday at 12 Eastern. But again, we are looking at a more variable time slot so we can cater to a worldwide audience. But again, all these videos are live streamed directly to YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube right now, don't forget to like and subscribe. Or if you're watching this at a later point, also don't forget to like and subscribe. Also turn on notification bells so that way when we do go live, you can get notified and joined as well as Data Engineers Lunches, which happen on Mondays at 12 Eastern currently as well. All these videos are available on YouTube. You can just Google Cassandra Lunch and you'll be able to find the playlist. And all of these videos since Cassandra Lunch number 10 have been recorded and are available on the playlist. Cassandra.Link should be your #1 resource for all things Cassandra. Cassandra.Link is hand curated by the team here at Anant, and it has resources, videos, everything that is Cassandra or is in the ecosystem. So for example, we have at least 1,200 resources related to Cassandra, but then also resources related to Spark and Kafka as they relate to Cassandra as well. And with that, we'll go ahead and pass it over to our speaker today, Stefan.
Thank you, Arpan. That's a good intro. Let me share. All right. Once you maybe see my screen. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be talking about Kubernetes again. Today, we'll be talking about Kubernetes hosted on DigitalOcean. Some of the ways, some of the steps you need to take to get a Kubernetes cluster running, and then K8ssandra being deployed to that cluster in cloud. Some of the bugs that I've came across that might save you some time. And yeah, it's just, yeah, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about Kubernetes on DigitalOcean, right? So one of the key elements of this is, number one is productivity, right? Develop and iterate most rapidly in easy application development. Release updates and management of your apps and services means that you can be very productive on using Kubernetes on DigitalOcean. Resource efficiency. Kubernetes knows the compute memory and storage resources each application needs and schedules instances across cluster to maximize resource efficiency. We have streamlined operations, we have high availability, scalability, and portability. This is all pretty Kubernetes related stuff, but just being on the cloud, it just makes it super more effective than doing it locally. And today later on in the demo, we're going to take a look at kind of the whole process, like with the previous videos and presentations that I had with Kubernetes, and we're gonna use most of it here just to deploy everything on the cloud. And it's basically really works really great with DigitalOcean. And I want to say that it was really easy to spin up clusters and to work in DigitalOcean's GUI. So yeah, it's like a really plus for me, like my experience with working with Kubernetes and DigitalOcean. So yeah, again, what can you do with DigitalOcean, Kubernetes? A lot of stuff. I even doing this demo, I even thought of some projects that we have here that maybe we can actually transfer to Kubernetes on DigitalOcean, because it saves a lot of resources. And there's like a lot of stuff that you can do and scale up on DigitalOcean's Kubernetes. Again, API and backend services, we have a ton of those. We can use DigitalOcean Kubernetes to deploy, scale, and manage these services. Web apps are great. Great replicas, scale them, so you can deploy a web app on Kubernetes DigitalOcean in a matter of minutes. It doesn't really take that much time. CI/CD, we can run GitHub Lab core components in DigitalOcean's. Right, I don't know if there's a GitHub, but that's what we have there. And finally, let's talk about K8ssandra. We've talked about this before, and this is actually a pretty great collection of stuff that you probably, if you work with Cassandra, you've probably seen all of this stuff. But just in general, if anybody doesn't know what K8ssandra is a cloud native distribution of Apache Cassandra that runs on Kubernetes. Right, so what does that mean? It's just Cassandra with a bunch of added software, a bunch of added stuff to it to make it work great. It kind of is basically what Astra is, just a little bit different. I found it the way that I use K8ssandra is the same way I would use Astra. And if you deploy it to Google Cloud, it's basically the same thing, in my opinion. But yeah, so K8ssandra provides an ecosystem of tools to provide richer data API and automated operations alongside Cassandra. What are these? So let's take a look at this, what's included in K8ssandra, because when you deploy it, it's a bunch of stuff. It's not just Cassandra that's on the cloud or just on Kubernetes. I mean, we have Stargate, and Stargate is really the open source data gateway, and it's a way for you to communicate with Cassandra using HTML REST APIs or GraphQL. And basically you can do everything with that. You need to use SQL. We also have the CAS operator, which we had a session before. We talked about this. It's the Kubernetes operator for Apache Cassandra. I think this came from DataStax, if I'm not mistaken. Reaper for Apache Cassandra, an anti-entropy repair feature, plus Reaper operator, Medusa for backup and restore, and we'll take a look at the config, the Helm chart later on, in which we set up this Medusa backup and restore with AWS or something. You can do with whatever you want, right? Metrics collector for Apache Cassandra, with Prometheus integration and visualization pre-configured with Grafana dashboards, which is great. Yeah, so this is basically like one of the collection of it, and once we get into it, we'll take a look more deeply of all of these pods and all of these containers basically that make this K8ssandra work. But time for the demo now. At this point, are there any questions from anybody? Cool. Yeah, so this DigitalOcean, DigitalOcean is kind of really easy to use, in my opinion. And if you want to create any resource here, there's possibly like just a button that you can click and then it does it. It looks very clean. And on the left side here, you can see whatever you need, right? So we can create droplets and then run Kubernetes on them, but we can just run Kubernetes. We can just create Kubernetes clusters, which also creates the droplets. But again, I think it slims down whatever you need just for the Kubernetes to run. So basically, I already have one created, but just for the sake, let's take a look at how it look like. So it'll give you a data center region. I'm getting Amsterdam because that's closest to me. But we have a few locations in the world. You can see the two versions of it, and then you can choose your pool names and then the machine types, and then the size of your nodes, how much RAM and memory and CPU you're going to use, the count, and then you just name it and you create the cluster, and that's it. That's basically all it is. It just creates the cluster and it creates droplets for you. So if we just go back to the one that I created, named K8ssandra, we can see this is what it looks like. And the first time you create a cluster, it's going to give you kind of an instruction of how to do it, how to connect to your cluster using the command line, right? So you can just download the config file and place it in the folder kubeconfig, I think it was. I'm not really sure about that, but you can just run doctl, and I'll post this into the blog where you see really clear instructions of how to connect to your cluster. But it's super easy. All you need is doctl installed on your machine, and then you just need to authenticate, and that's it. Once you get your connection to DigitalOcean, you're good to go. Going in, kind of like, let's look around. You can see all your pools, your names, the name of your nodes. You can see the load balancers that I've created, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. You can see, some kind of insights, CPU usage, memory usage, and stuff, all this good stuff. And really cool thing is there are one-click applications you can install that might take you a little bit longer to do it manually, but you can just click one button and it gets installed on your cluster, which is pretty great. I tried the Ingress controller, Nginx, I haven't tried all of these, but I'm sure, with the right time, they can be really useful, and it saves some time setting them up. Again, you have some tags, and then you will see when you create. So tags are there when you create load balancers manually. You can add tags, and the tags are used all around DigitalOcean to find whatever you need. And the really cool thing is the Kubernetes dashboard. We've taken a look at this in using Minikube, and I'm so glad that it's here, because this is really much better way to work with Kubernetes and kind of take a look at the resources you have and maybe even change some configs than just doing it on the console. It really, it's really better, and then you can see your namespaces, you can see your jobs, your pods, your services, right? You can see what kind of type they are. As you can see, we have a load balancer here, and then this is the load balancer, which is the Stargate. And yeah, basically, DigitalOcean really easy to use, to set up. There's a tutorial. I'll even put it in the blog, and it's super easy to create the cluster. It just takes 5 minutes. So now if we take a look in the cluster, right? We'll take so I already set mine up. My kubectl and points to my cluster, but sometimes you might have a few clusters. You're not just going to have one, right? So you would want to see how much you have and how you can change around them. So all you need to do is doctl Kubernetes cluster list, and it will show you the node pools and the clusters you have available. And then you can just use cluster config and then save and choose which one you want to use. So this would be the command that you would use to select one if you had multiple. Right now, I only have one, so there's some point in doing it. But we can switch which cluster kubectl points to. And after you set up everything, of course, you can take a look at the nodes. You can even say,
Hey, Stefan, do you mind increasing the zoom? Thanks.
oh, that's good. So, right, again, you can take a look at the CPU memory being used by your nodes. This is really important. You want to keep an eye on this. Obviously, now it's a little bit less because my version of K8ssandra I deployed is really light. But when you have production, you don't want this. You have to take a look at this. And yep. So starting from installing K8ssandra, it's I already did it because it takes a little bit of time to spin up. So we don't want to wait, but I'll go through each part and I'll tell you where you might get stuck, because getting stuck in doing Kubernetes is always not fun. It takes a lot of time for something minor, something that you never would expect. So yeah. If you watch this, maybe I'll save you some time later on doing it. So the first thing we need to do is create backup restore service account. And so in order to allow backup and restore operation, we must create a service account for the Medusa operator, which we kind of talked about, right? And this is a secret. We'll touch on that a little bit later.
Hey, Stefan, do you mind zooming in a little bit more? There's a comment from the YouTube chat.
Let me see. I'll do this. Is this better? I think it should be good, right?
Yeah, that looks good.
All right, cool. As a part of the provisioning section key was generated for this purpose, plug in the key and the secret for the provisioning section. This can be found here. These key and ID can be found in your DigitalOcean dashboard, GUI, and you can just plug your credentials right here. These are mine. I'm just going to delete this after this video. And then we're going to need to create type secret. So you can see here, this is a secret YAML file, which we say metadata production K8ssandra, the name of the cluster, and Medusa key, right? And then we have the S3 credentials here. So what is a secret? Secret is an object that contains a small amount of sensitive data, such as a password token or a key. Such information might otherwise be put in a pod specification or in a container image. Using a secret means that you don't need to include confidential data in your application code. Because secrets can be created independently of the pods that use them, there is less risk of a secret being exposed during the workflow of creating, viewing, and editing pods. Kubernetes and applications that run in your cluster can also take additional precautions with secrets, such as avoiding writing secret data to non-violent storage. So this is kind of like, this is the basic configuration of a secret that you look here. And then just to create, you just apply this file and the secret will be created. Then we have to take a look. So yeah, once you do this, the next thing is going to be the storage class. So as you can see, we have two storage classes here, right? And this is really important for Cassandra because Cassandra needs volume binding mode to wait for first customer, and the default do block storage doesn't have that. So we need to create the new one, do block storage wait. And also this is basically how it looks like. Again, we just say a kind storage class, the name of it, and we say, volume binding mode, wait for first customer. Kind of more abstract, like a storage class provides a way for administrators to describe the classes of storage they offer. Different classes might map to quality of service level or to backup policy or to arbitrary policy determined by the cluster administrator. K8ssandra requires a Kubernetes storage class that has, again, volume binding mode, wait for first customer. The default pre-installed do block storage is a volume binding mode immediate, which does not work for us. The command again is just kubectl apply /file, and this is the command, and you apply this storage class. By default, this is not going to be default, so you can make the do block storage wait default class, default storage class, like I did, but you don't have to. Is because when we do our configuration, our Helm chart configuration, we can specifically say that we want the storage class to be do block storage wait. And so now we transfer over to the Helm config chart. To deploy K8ssandra, we use Helm, and we talked about Helm previously. And Helm is like Helm charts, Helm subcharts is it's a great tool. It's a great thing to have on Kubernetes. It makes deploying complex application on Kubernetes just a lot easier because you just need one command, right? Because K8ssandra has a bunch of services, a bunch of pods, deployments, secrets, and all of that is getting packaged into one Helm chart that makes it just easier. It doesn't make it super easy, but it makes it easier. Some of the stuff that we can set here in the config is the version, again, the storage class, the size, the heap. We handle the resources, right? We can say how much resources we want, and this comes in to like mention later that I said, we can watch the usage of memory and CPU on the nodes, and This one is a little slimmed down version than the one they have on the website. But if you want to deploy the super expensive one, you can do it. You just need a bigger node pool and like way more expensive nodes. But again, we can say the data centers, the size. So this is meaning how much replicas are going to be, right? We give configuration for Target and Medusa. Again, Medusa is going on S3 compatible. I'm not sure if you can do on any other, but I mean S3 works pretty fine. And then the command to install it is just helm install. The name of the K8ssandra, right? And then the file. One thing to note while I was deploying this is possibly if you are hosting your nodes on a different time zone, when you are deploying K8ssandra, it might not deploy. And there is a problem. I've seen some people have it on the internet. So it's got to do with the PVC, right? So we have the personal persistent volume claims, right? Here. And it was having problems attaching to the pods. So there is a resource in Kubernetes called kubectl volume attachment. And I think you can see it here. It says which nodes attached to which PVC, and it says if it's attached, right? This was false. So what I did is I just deleted the the volume attachment, and I deleted the pod. So the pod that was having problem was this Cassandra. I think it was this one, right? So it was having problem attaching it. So, and again, I read online that it's something to do with time zones. I'm not sure if that's the case, but if you delete any resource from a Helm chart, or basically because it's a deployment, Kubernetes will restart it again. So basically what Kubernetes did was fix whatever was wrong with that volume attachment. And when I restarted the pod, everything worked fine. So keep in mind, I'll also post a link into the blog, this explaining more in detail how to take care of this issue if you ran into it. It took me some time to do it, but after you deploy K8ssandra, you should see these resources here: the cast operator, the Cassandra, the Stargate, the Grafana, the Reapers, and all of that. And you can see the services. So we've covered this. There are a bunch of services here. So Stargate, the way I decided, you can use CQL to Cassandra, to talk to Cassandra, but Stargate is just built in. It's great. So in the beginning, all of your services are going to be of type cluster IP. So that means if you are hosting this locally, again, you can't even do that, right? You have to expose these ports in order to talk to Cassandra. But if you are on a cloud provider, I mean, you need to change your cluster IP, your type of your service from cluster IP to load balancer. And this is where I'm going to bring up our Kubernetes dashboard. And all of this you can do on your command line. Like all of this that I'm going to show you now, you can do here. But I just prefer to do it here because, why not? It's so much better. So we have a service, right? You figure out which service you want. And let's say we want, in the beginning, Stargate is not going to be a load balancer. It's just going to be a cluster IP. So you need to change that into a load balancer. And the way you do that, you just click edit. And here you can see the JSON. You can see the YAML or the JSON version of it. And if you scroll down, you just write type. That's it, right? Type load balancer. This will be a cluster IP. all you have to do is just change it to load balancer. And the great thing about DigitalOcean is it will create that resource for you. You don't have to do anything else. It will give you it'll give you an external IP address like here. Sorry, it's this one. It's this one. And if we go to, let's see, Cloud Ocean. Yeah, right. So go to networking, load balancers. This is the one I created. It's created, I think, from what's it called, Nginx, and you can create your own. And this one is created was just created from DigitalOcean itself. When I changed the type of the service to load balancer, it created it itself. That's why it's this kind of a name. I haven't changed it just so we can take a look at it. And it says, we're connected to both nodes. And, if you guys don't know what the load balancer is, it just basically redirects the traffic. It comes from one place to either this node or this node. Maybe you have 100 nodes, and you just don't want traffic to go into one node. You want to balance the load. Therefore, load balancers. And yeah, basically that's how you open up your Cassandra to the outside world. Now, and basically that's it. Now we can talk to Cassandra, right? The only thing we need now is to get authentication, and and for us to do that, we need, let me see, what was the command? Right, so you do this, you write this command, and you get the super user. You change the super user to the password, and it'll give you the password. And so now we have everything we need to talk to Cassandra. We say kubectl services, and we find this one. I'll just take a look at this one. Right, and there it is. Ingress, and we just copy that into our Postman or whatever you want to use, and you just do, let me see, what was it? Authorization, what's it called? Here. Okay, so these ones are creating tables, but in order for us to do out, let's create a new one. Call, and we copy the address that we have from the service, and we say body from JSON. We copy this, and it's just going to say failed to create token because you have the incorrect password. And so you would enter what we got here, the super user password and username. And I mean, for testing development, maybe that's good, but maybe for production, that's not the ideal way. And I think there was a previous Cassandra Lunch where we talked about users in Cassandra and how you can manage and give certain permissions. So you would not want to do the super user to anyone. Therefore, you can create other users in Cassandra and then use those to authenticate this way, right? If that makes sense.
Hey, Stefan, can you zoom in again, please?
I don't think I can zoom here.
Okay.
Yeah, I've tried to do it a couple of times. Let me see, can I do it here?
Maybe under settings in the top right.
Is it settings? Yeah, let me see here. Font size, let's see if we can. There we go. Is this better?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and so yeah, so let me show you. This is I'll put this. This is the URL. If you can see it from the top, I know it's a little small, but it's just basically the external API that your service from Kubernetes gets the port, and then you have, and then all of the rest is just Stargate documentation. You can take a look at that. We also covered that in a previous video. I kind of talked about that, and so we can from here on. Now we have connection to our Cassandra that's running on the on DigitalOcean, and let's say we want to create a new key space, right? Well, what we have to do is we have to get that authentication token that we got from the username and the password, and we just need to just plug it in here into the headers. And if you're using Postman, this is super easy. If not, if you're just doing it like a quick command, this can take a little bit longer. So if you're trying testing out, just use Postman, please. This is the token that we got back. We just add it to the headers. And then let's say we want to create, well, actually, no, let's see what kind of key spaces we have right now. Authorization, well, maybe we need to do that one more time, right? Was it here? I think they have a certain time. Change this to this one, right? Let's see if this works. There we go. We have the authorization token. We're gonna grab that. We're gonna go here in the headers and copy that here. All right, cool. And as you guys can see, we're getting some information back from the cluster, right? We have key spaces here, system schema, and this one I created before this Cassandra Lunch. So let's create another one. Let's just say it test 5. Yep, I think let's change it here. Up. So it just gives you back some kind of information. And now let's go back. Check if that's here. There we go. We created a new key space, using Stargate. And again, this is we created a new key space using Stargate on a Cassandra that's running on Kubernetes, that's running on DigitalOcean. It's compared to when I started learning Kubernetes, it's become super, every time it's becoming super more easier and easier just to deploy these applications and just immediately start working with them. Like this can take you, it can take you a little at some time, again, yes, to deploy it, but for somebody that knows what he's doing, it's going to take no time, right? So yeah, it's running Kubernetes, running stuff on Kubernetes and DigitalOcean is becoming super easier. And DigitalOcean, just a bunch of cloud providers. I haven't really tried to do anything on Amazon's or Microsoft or Google's platforms, but I'm sure it's easier like that. So yep, that's basically it. We spun up this version of Cassandra on the cloud and we got to connect to it. I'll post clear instructions in the blog and the slimmed down version of the Helm chart config. So you guys can, so if you just want to do, if you want to just spin it up on your own, you can do it. And yes, does anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah, I have one. So you just mentioned that you had a slimmed down Helm chart. Is there, I guess, a limitation with K8ssandra? Does it have to have a minimum, or does it have a minimum size requirement, or that you slim down from the default to here? Could you go any lower? So if people maybe not want to spend that much money potentially demoing it, Is there a way to do it even cheaper than you've done it now?
I think you can maybe slim this down a little bit too. I don't see why would you, but this is kind of the cheapest version you can do right now. I'm just running those simplest nodes. And if we go to, yep, get nodes, and then, right, let's take a look at this one, see how much resources we're taking. Yeah, 15%, right? You see, or maybe I'm not running the cheapest one, maybe I'm running the one above them, but even if you're running the cheapest ones, which is like $20 a month, I think, on Kubernetes, let's take a look at that. You can still run K8ssandra on the cloud. It's super easy. And I think also they have free $100 voucher on DigitalOcean. So even if you want to try out the production level version of K8ssandra, you can still do it for like a week. So yeah, you can slim it down even more, but I don't see why you would, because this is like basically the lowest you can get. Maybe you can slim it down a little bit more.
Got it. Great. Yeah, no, and you also mentioned that you haven't necessarily tested this on potentially AWS or Azure or GCP, but definitely think that maybe doing a series extending this and then doing like a comparison of like how easy is it? Is it is it easier to do it on DigitalOcean compared to GCP, Azure, AWS, or is it easier to do on any of the other big three? I would love to see like a comparison or maybe some kind of like breakdown of how to get K8ssandra running the fastest, the easiest without hassles amongst the clouds. That would be a really cool talk, or even just a blog. So potentially throwing it in the backlog.
Yeah, sure. That would be like, well, spinning up the clusters would be the only thing that's different. Then spinning up the K8ssandra is just, getting the stuff ready, the secret, the storage class, and then, running the Helm chart. But then again, you're right, because I had some problems here where it wasn't doing right, but I don't think that's part of DigitalOcean. It would be cool to test it out on other cloud providers and see if they have like some kind of like even better solution or even faster response times. So yeah, I agree.
There's a comment from Rahul in the YouTube chat saying great talk.
Yep, thanks, Rahul. I don't know where my.
I know there's a delay for the YouTube chat, but feel free to drop any questions in the YouTube chat. We can get them answered as well.
Yep. Yeah. If anyone has like any thoughts or any experiments doing Kubernetes on DigitalOcean, I really think that one of our products that we have running on DigitalOcean on Droplets is just containers, right? So what if we just transfer that and we do that into Kubernetes? I think that will really save a lot of resources. So it kind of like got me to thinking, how further we can push this. Maybe start by getting a web app on Kubernetes on DigitalOcean, and then start scaling it, and then adding like a backend, or maybe if you do a next, it's just one container. So yeah, if anybody has like anything that has worked with that would be super cool to talk about. Right. Well, if there is no any questions anymore, I'm gonna shoot it back to you, Anant.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us for Cassandra Lunch. Don't forget to like and subscribe for watching this on YouTube right now. But if you're watching this at a later time, don't forget to also hit the notification bell so that way you can get notified whenever we do go live on Mondays and Thursdays. All these videos are live streamed directly to YouTube. So Even if you miss it live, you can always watch it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AnantCorp. Don't forget to check out Cassandra.Link. It should be your #1 resource for all things Cassandra, as well as one of our other properties, Cassandra.Tools. We just added a couple new tools on there, a bunch of open source tools that are in the Cassandra ecosystem. So check it out. We have search on there. And so you can always look for certain things or filter by certain languages or licenses, etc. So check it out, and we will see you guys on Monday. Take care.